Hi folks, welcome back to Game Geeks. I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel, and this is my 6th take of this episode for some reason. I keep tripping over my own words. So let's see if I can do this in a calm, rational fashion that doesn't end up making me look like a blithering idiot. Today's episode, we are talking about Weird Wars Rome, which is a part of a series of campaign settings for the Savage Worlds book. Now, Savage Worlds uses Weird Wars settings. That's a very hard set of words to say. Uses these settings as a way to really show off the tactical combat aspect of Savage Worlds while keeping it rooted in role-playing and in some of the overall weirdness that they like to inject into most of their games. Some of the other Weird Wars settings include Weird War II, which is, guess what, the World War II setting. You have Tour of Darkness, which is a Vietnam War type campaign setting for this. And now you've got Rome, which really takes it back a long way. The book brings a lot of really interesting ideas to the table. For example, if you're really lazy like me and you don't want to go researching what it would be like to be a Roman soldier, it's all here for you. I get the feeling reading through this, it's half history and half historical fiction, which is what they did to make it interesting for a game, which, let's face it, I don't think any of us would want to play in a game where you actually role-played the life of a Roman centurion. Moving on from that, it also gives you ways of introducing the supernatural, the mystical, and the horrific into this game so that you are fighting the monstrosities that are rising up in the wars around the Roman Empire. It also gives you the option, which I think is incredibly interesting, for playing a generational game. Because the Roman Empire went on for so long, then you could finish one campaign of the setting and then start the next one when the children have grown up and they're also involved in the wars that are going on. It gives you several ideas for incorporating the various supernatural and normal nasties that are in the areas that the Roman Empire encompassed, including Northern Africa, Europe, and up into England. I always found it interesting that the great and mighty Roman Empire got through most of Europe and then got to Scotland, had a meeting, and built a wall. I personally think it's because the Scottish had bagpipes and sounds like a cat being crushed very slowly. But I'm weird like that. And I even like minor chords. Anyway, so what else do you get with Weird Wars Rome? You get the option for playing, as I mentioned, over a course of many years. You have military campaign settings in which you can be part of a secret-ish organization within the military, within the Roman military, that essentially tries to prevent supernatural evils like this from either taking root or gaining strength. It gives you other additional rules for mass combat, squad combat, etc., new edges, hindrances, advancement of your character through the Roman era. There are sort of supernatural sects that you can be dealing with in one form or another, and finally some adventures that kind of round it out. Weird Wars Rome has been very well supported so far with adventures, adventure maps, setting ideas, slightly longer than one-sheet adventures, bigger campaign ideas, etc. One of the things that I find the most intriguing and appealing about this book and this setting is the idea of you being able to connect a larger series of campaigns. For instance, you could start out playing in a Weird Wars II game where you are characters running around trying to prevent the Nazis from gaining massive occult power in the ruins and bombed out shells of Europe, while you run into references to a Rome game or Roman legionnaires that did similar things in comparable areas. Then you could almost have Highlander-style flashbacks into the Rome game. Now, the thing about the Vietnam setting is it's pretty geographically distal from the European and Northern African setting that you get from World War II and Rome. But, it's options. And then ultimately you could take this into space or into the modern era or even ahead if you so desired. The idea of this lineage or generational campaign really appeals to me simply because I can't think small. Weird Wars Rome for Savage Worlds, really good if you want a historical, kind of fantasy, but not really combat, or rather military focused is a better way to say it. game with a specific emphasis on the supernatural and fighting said beasties. For Game Geeks, I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Good day and good gaming.